Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. My name is Joyce Duriga. I'm the editor of the Chicago Catholic, and this is where we go beyond the headlines and talk to the people who are making the news in the latest edition of our newspaper. So today we have Father Lou Cameli and Michele Sotak from Holy Name Cathedral, because they put together this really neat, innovative program called Faith and Fitness that just wrapped up here, that we have a story on in the newspaper. And they've done it for 6 months at the cathedral and really taking an opportunity to combine, obviously, faith and fitness and nutrition and all of that stuff together. So welcome to you both. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us, Joyce.
Thank you, Joyce.
You're welcome. So how do you want to start from the beginning on how it got started? You two have a friendship and it kind of came out of that.
Right. I mean, we've known each other now for a little while, and we share common interest. Obviously, I'm somewhat interested in faith.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit. No, I mean, seriously, very important. But also, across my years as a priest, I've also been dedicated to exercise and to trying to be physically as equipped as possible to carry on the ministry. Mm-hmm. So, and Michele was part of our community at Holy Name. And we both, and she is a trainer. She'll explain that a bit more. So, and we saw the convergence of interests, and I thought, this would be a good thing to put together: faith and fitness, and it would put a certain kind of spin on things. But we can talk more about that. Michele, why don't you say where you're coming from too?
Yeah, I'm a certified personal trainer in addition to working in ministry. And I have been a trainer for over 10 years, and it's certainly a passion of mine. And I know the importance of taking care of the body, and I want to share that with people, more so than just aesthetics. And so Father Cameli and I decided to start educational talks on why physical activity is important and how it pertains to our Catholic faith.
Yeah, the other thing probably I should have mentioned too, the area that I have been involved in across my whole priesthood is spiritual formation. So that's been true. I was in the seminary and then ongoing formation for priests, and I've written, but that whole area. And one of the things that I realize is so important is to help people to understand that spiritual development is not just a piece of our lives off on its own, but it's integrated into the whole of our lives and the way we are physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So those things come together. That's kind of the backstory, yes. I think, of what we're about.
We're trying to call attention towards connecting all parts of ourselves and seeing ourselves as one. We're embodied spirits, and our physical bodies are essential to who we are as human beings and what we do with our mission and our vocations. Mm-hmm. So we try to let people know that there is something called dualism out there, where people think it's separate, that our spirit is separate from our body, and we are mind, body, and soul. So we must take care of all three parts of, three things that make us human beings. So our soul, our minds, and our physical bodies. And how can we do that? By taking care of all three. And typically when you take care of the spiritual and the physical, the mind usually takes care of itself, but that's something that we want to put a focus on, because the world doesn't really see physical exercise in that way. And also, sometimes the Catholic faith and faith in general doesn't always place an importance on taking care of the body, so we want to highlight that and make it a unique, original work at the cathedral.
So you had each once a month, right? So
yes.
How did you structure? How did you come up with the ideas on the topics and then adding the spiritual side to it?
Well, it's hard to say how it unfolded, but it came out very naturally.
Okay.
I think, I mean, first of all, starting with what Michele talked about, just the general vision of the human person. And you know, across the history of spirituality, across 2,000 years, at times people have pitted this, the physical versus the spiritual, you know, so there's been that kind of dualism and all that. But really there is an integrity about this. So trying to give that overall vision, that's where it started, and then moving from there to a sense of stewardship. That's really important, because to look at our bodies and our spirits, our minds as a gift entrusted to us, that makes all the difference. And by the way, just a little side note, I think what it does too is it makes this really different than the obsession that a lot of people have with physical appearance, or even the physical with fitness. This is not catering to that obsession that is part of our society. I mean, people really, in a kind of sad way.
Right.
But to look on this as, first of all, everything that we have, all that we are, is a gift from God. And then, because it is a gift from God, it's calling for a response. And that's the whole notion of stewardship. So these pieces kind of flowed naturally. And then there are other parts too. I don't know, do you add to that?
And so it definitely was a collaboration between Father Cameli and I. We talked about topics, and very much natural, like you mentioned, Father Cameli. It really was something beautiful, because it just blossomed into many different topics and that are relevant. And at the cathedral, we have all ages and all fitness levels coming, because really it is exercises for everyone, and God meets us on our fitness journey too.
Yeah.
So you know, it is very, our gift, our bodies are a gift that's very important. I mean, it's up there with salvation. It's one of those things that God gives us that is very, just it's a wonderful gift.
Right, and one of the ways in which that came through is each module had a scripture passage, at least one, sometimes a couple, trying to give some kind of focus.
Right.
That this is not just something we're making up, but this is revealed to us, the gift of ourselves. I mean, there's some powerful Psalms, for example, that speak to, you know me, you formed me in my mother's womb, that kind of thing that really helps people to understand that we're dealing not just with something we have, but something that's a gift that's given to us.
And it's important to not abuse it or exploit it, but giving ways in which, instead of making it an obsession, ways that we make it a part of our lifestyle. It's just like we go to Mass because it's part of our lifestyle. We exercise because it really is a responsibility that we have, along with going to Mass as, you know, Christians and Catholics. And so talking about the foundation of exercise and letting people know it's not one way to do it. Like, you really have to go to the gym and do a 1 hour heavy workout. It's movement. You know, so showing ways, and, you know, first of all, the importance, you know, Father Cameli mentioned we chose scripture that supports, you know, taking care of the body. And so we know that, right, this is not something we just made up because we like to work out, but it's something we're called to do. And so we bring that to the attention of people, and then showing ways of how to do it. And then I did have a session with practical fitness. So Father Cameli would offer, you know, reflections on scripture, and then I had the participants write a plan, so workout plan. So there are practical parts of this as well.
And demonstrations.
So I would also demonstrate skill or drills, you know, exercises to support some of the topics. But
you know, Michele, it'd be helpful too, I think, to let people know that, as you said, there's not just one way to do it, but we had a variety of people, different ages, different physical abilities, and you were so good in helping people to see you can do these things no matter what your level is.
That's right.
So it's all trying to adapt things.
Yeah, and there's modifications for everything, regressions and progressions in the fitness world. And just like there would be in the Mass, you know, some people can't kneel. So what do you do if you can't kneel? You stand, right? So with exercising, same thing. If you can't do something because you have a limitation, there's always another way to do it. And that's why there are really no excuses, you know? And we're trying to show people, just show up. Because if you show up and make it a habit and do it, you'll end up doing it more consistently, and then you'll see results. And sometimes a lot of the results are behind the scenes when we pray, we go to Mass, and when we exercise, but they're happening. So we want to encourage people to just stay the course.
Yeah.
So you talked about nutrition when we were there, and then you had a focus on the plan, and then you taught some exercises. And I was struck too by the just show up. Like you don't need the excuses. You don't need that just because you have all these maybe issues and stuff, but there are things that you can do. What were the response that you received from people? Now that you kind of wrapped it up, but you're going to do it again. We'll talk about that. But go ahead.
They were very good responses.
Oh, yeah.
We actually sent out a survey to the participants after module number 3, because we planned for just having 3 and then seeing where it would go from there. And the response was very good. One person had said it was the best hour they spent in a long time, which I think is just a phenomenal testimony, because we all know time is of the essence. So for a person to say it was really worth my time and the best hour I spent in a long time, and just a lot of good, I think it was interesting to see some people love the scripture, some people love the exercises. So again, something for everyone. And so we decided to do 3 more sessions, and we wrapped it up last Sunday, May 5th, and with the nutrition, because we want to round out the fitness with nutrition, because also what we eat is very important for stewardship of the body and for good mood and energy and things like that.
I think one of the best feedback we got was that they came back.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was amazing though to see that. I realized, I didn't know this as we started out, but we really touched on something, a need, and something that people were interested in, something that they would find helpful. And the interesting thing is, it wasn't, my sense from the discussions and all, it wasn't just about spiritual practices, and it wasn't just about physical fitness, but it was the two things coming together. And somehow trying to find some integration. And we touched on something that really seems to be helpful to people. I'm really happy about that. And I hope we're going to be able to develop it too, keep going forward.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, everybody. Thanks. So are you planning?
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at artchicago.org/schooljobs. We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day, knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
I am a seminarian.
The Church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
what inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
Back to the headlines. My name is Joyce Duriga. I'm editor of the Chicago Catholic, and we're talking to Father Luke Cameli and Michele Sotak about the faith and fitness program they developed. Before we go back to that, though, I want to plug the newspaper. You can follow us at ChicagoCatholic.com, and you can sign up for a subscription. It's $30 a year. We come out about every 2 weeks. There's a free newsletter that you can sign up for on our website. You can follow us on social media. You can see what Cardinal Cupich is writing about, and then in this issue, this latest issue, we'll have this story. We also have coverage of our deacons. There's little bios about the 12 permanent and 2 transitional deacons that were ordained over the weekend. We also have an interesting story, I think, about the Catholic Charities Diaper Depot in Lake County and then the need for diapers that because they're not covered by public funding and that families, lower income families get. So again, check us out on ChicagoCatholic.com. And today we're talking about the faith and fitness program. And when we were on the break, we were talking, you mentioned stewardship. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, looking on the relationship of faith and fitness in the context of stewardship. So, as I mentioned earlier, if we understand that what we have, who we are, body, soul, spirit, mind, feelings, that this is a gift from God, then stewardship says if you receive the gift, then you have to take responsibility for it. And that responsibility starts with acknowledging the gift and gratitude. And the second part is growing the gift of helping it to flourish. And the third part is sharing. So moving from what we have in gratitude, what we try to foster and develop, to a point of then sharing with other people. And that's how, actually this was one of the modules that we did, was it's very important to develop ourselves integrally in terms of physically and spiritually, so that we can be in mission in the world. And that's just so important. It equips us for the mission.
It does, and that's why it's important to have an intentional motivation when you're exercising, because that way it'll get you to do the workouts. That gets you to
There's a purpose.
There's a purpose, and it goes beyond just some of the worldly things that people exercise for. And so if it's going to help us on our mission, then that might make people more attracted to it. In a way where when on a day you don't feel like exercising, well, that's going to get me to exercise because I know it's a responsibility. It's not just a task that I could just say, I'm not going to do this today because I'm too busy or whatever the excuse is. But it's just like with, praying. You can't just, we do it because it's a responsibility. So, yeah, it's more important than most people think, and that's why we'd like to, and I wouldn't say that, I think a lot of people in the parish and our faith community understand the importance of exercise and they love it, but I'm not sure that a lot of people see that it can be related to the faith in regards to having a intentional motivation to get results. And so the aesthetics will take care of itself. If you're doing this for the right reasons, you're going to get in shape physically anyway, because it's going to get you to do the workout. So it's a good way to sort of look at it, isn't it? You're getting a lot out of your workouts if you're thinking of it in an intentional, deliberate way, so that ultimately that we can serve our mission in a better light.
To maybe put this in it's somewhat humorous context, but it's one of the things that got us going together. When I was talking with Michele one day, and I said, as I look over all my years as a priest, and I realized that if each day I don't exercise and I don't pray, I'll go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds, but it's true.
It is.
It's funny, but it's true. And so there's a way of being sane, which is another word for being healthy, that then enables me to carry on what I'm committed to carry forth, my mission as a priest. And my hope would be that people would also share in that and begin to say, wow, first of all, I have a purpose, I have a mission, and it's uniquely given to me by the Lord. Now what do I have to do to equip myself to carry that on?
And exercise does give us more self-worth and confidence, just like our faith does. They work hand in hand. When you exercise regularly, you do feel like you have more self-worth and you have a purpose and you could do it better. Most of our vocations entail some sort of physical activity. So in that case, if we're training ourselves to be more mobile and healthy, it's not just about like losing weight or being leaner, but it's also about becoming stronger, having healthy bones and joints. Mentally, exercise helps us a lot as well. So we have to think outside of the box when it comes to exercise and how that affects our vocations in a better way.
Folks who were if you were watching this on YouTube, you just saw Michele doing some exercises. They did a couple videos for on the Faith and Fitness, and if you go to Holy Name's YouTube channel, you'll be able to find those short videos there too. But it's so funny the way what you were talking about reminds me. We've gone through the Renew Mind Church process, right? And we talk about missionary discipleship, and it's just like I almost want to laugh because it's like a whole other side of missionary discipleship, the personal stewardship of the body.
Yeah, and again, it's a matter of how do we foster that? How do we equip ourselves to carry that on? Related to this, maybe it might be helpful too to talk a little bit about the relationship between fitness, exercise, and praying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we went over that in our sessions in different ways. First of all, we actually invited people to pray during the sessions, and that was good. But exercising can be a prelude to prayer for some people. I mean, it is for me. It's very helpful. What does it do? It kind of clears the head and kind of sets us on a path of a focused path that enables us then to engage in prayer. Sometimes, now this doesn't work so much for me, but I think it does for you, is prayer can accompany exercise.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a very individual matter, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's different, and some people might be able to find prayer helpful before a workout or during a workout or either or. But yes, I feel that it used to be back in the day that I used to listen to music while I exercise. Now I pray, or I just try to be in silence, even at the gym.
Yeah.
Like where there's people around me and I don't really need to have my headphones on. I can still pray, or just sort of be present and think about what I'm doing with my body, and things like that. Or you can listen to like a podcast or something like that. You could listen to this YouTube station, things like that. There's many ways that you could pair the two, and then it becomes very powerful and doable because you're putting two things in your schedule and you're doing it at once. But I only recommend that if you're a person who's able to do both. If you're a beginner with exercise, you might want to just focus on the exercise, or someone that's trying to learn how to pray, maybe just focus on that. But that's definitely
right. And each person is going to be a little bit different. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from Passionist priest Father Barnabas Mary Ahern, was from Chicago. It was just a wonderful. He was one of my professors in Rome too. And he said, pray as you can, not as you can't. So people are going to find the way that they can pray, and they should follow that the way that's tailored for their own lives, their own personalities, temperaments, and so forth.
It's very easy, when you kind of put it that way. So what are your plans going forward? You're going to sit back and evaluate how it went, and What are you thinking?
Well, we want to take the good things that people have said, this is helpful, and that we'd like to reinforce that. And there are a couple of directions we've been talking about. One is to maybe redo the program for people who hadn't had the opportunity to be a part of it before. But the other thing is to take those people who have been a part of it and to bring them together in a kind of prayer exercise support group, if you will, so that they can share experiences, challenge each other, but also encourage each other too. So
we kind of sent them off during the hiatus to just apply what you've learned in the last 6 months, and when we come back, we can revisit it and just see how it's evolved for them as well. Father Cameli mentioned this earlier, but there were people that attended every single session.
Yes.
They came back, and there was actually some perfect attendance. Some people it was like hit or miss. So we're trying to think if we revisit the topics, we could definitely do that, because repeating something is great. I mean, I've been a trainer for many years, but I will go to the same, just education or workshops or things like that just to replenish and
Sure.
Yeah, because it's something we can't retain all the information. We can forget things easily. So they might have missed something in that first session.
Wow. I'm laughing, Michelle, because we're in the Quigley building, and I came to high school here. And one of the things they taught us right from the beginning was, this is in Latin, I'm that old, repetitio est mater studiorum. Repetition is the mother of all studies. You got to keep going back.
Yeah.
So we probably ought to repeat.
So we have like about a minute and a half left. Any quick advice on this, like for someone that might be listening and might want to get interested in pulling together the faith and fitness part of it? Do you have any quick advice or?
Well, we will be rolling out videos that covered the topics that, if people weren't able to attend, we will be rolling those out very shortly. And so
that's at the Holy Name.
At the Holy Name YouTube.
Yeah.
So we'll be on the lookout for that on the Holy Name YouTube channel.
So that people would go to the Holy Name website.
It's holynamecathedral.org, right?
Yes.
And anything else you want to add, Father Cameli?
No, I think it might be just good to kind of step back and say, how can I take care of myself spiritually and physically? And what do I need? What do I need to grow, and to embrace the mission God gave me?
We just recently had on nurses who were in the vicar for priest office, and talking about the point, how important it is to look at the wellness and to take time for yourself, so then you can go and be more effective in this case with the priests and healthier and along the journey.
Absolutely.
So,
good.
Something we can all relate to. All right, well, I thank you both for coming so much, and we will put this out on our social media and share this with folks. And thanks again for everybody who's listening and watching today, and don't forget to check us out on ChicagoCatholic.com. So until next time, bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You're welcome. I tripped up.